If I was just starting an altcoin portfolio, how would I divvy that up for maximum potential gains this cycle? I would want to hit all the narratives. And right now, with Bitcoin and Ethereum approaching new all-time highs and search volume for altcoins being higher than we have seen in years, we have a lot of new people coming in commenting, what should I get? And so in this video, I'm going to break down what narratives I would go after and even some specific examples, guys. It's going to be a great video. We're going to get into everything, starting an altcoin portfolio and more. I love you all. This is never financial advice. This is a good sign that we are in early altcoin season. You can see right here that search volume for the word altcoin is at a high that we have not seen in a very long time. We are actually projected in this dotted line to go above the levels that we were at in 2020. This is huge. And what's interesting about this is if we take a look at Bitcoin and look at how its search volume is right now, you still see that the volume is actually fairly low. It's lower than it was in November of last year. It's lower than it was in March of last year. It's actually at levels that it wasn't until last bear market. And so it's pretty interesting to see that altcoins is running up in the trends, but Bitcoin isn't. And so that is why we are starting to see the overall altcoin index right here on coinmarketcap.com move more towards altcoin season at a time where we are at over $4 trillion total market cap in the overall crypto market that we have never had. That's an all-time high, guys. So there's a lot of big questions people have, and the number one is, what should I get into, guys? And that is the toughest question. How do you pick the narratives? How do you pick the winners? And nothing is ever guaranteed, but when you want to start out, you want to make sure you do have a good community, guys, and I'll show you the importance of that throughout this video, bouncing ideas off of one another. But if you want to join the Finance Freeman Discord, guys, we would love to have you. Use code FAM25 for 25% off forever, guys. If you're a beginner, if you're experienced in crypto, that is a great place to start. But I would definitely put 20% of my portfolio into AI. And now, how would I divide that up? Well, this all depends on an individual's risk tolerance. It doesn't really depend on how much money they have because everything's relative. So if someone's putting 20% into this, well, then that means that if you invest that into, say, Bittensor, TAO, Near Protocol, even the ICP render, any of these up here, it is fairly safe. That would be a fairly low risk portfolio in my point of view, versus if you start going down here to the 200s to the 300s, you've got a very, very heavy appetite for risk, almost all appetite for risk. You do not worry. So Bittensor TAO is a great, absolute great project. And if you take a look at it, it has tokenomics very similar to Bitcoin, but it's on a different schedule. If we come back here and take a look at the overall price as it has been, an all-time high of 488. That's still $100 away from Bittensor TAO, and AI is just getting more and more popular. Decentralized artificial intelligence is getting more and more popular. Us as a humanity should want that, I believe. And so Bittensor TAO is extremely solid for an AI pick. I love the internet computer. Some people absolutely hate it. Render is very good. Kosh network right here, this is 330 million, so this is getting a little bit more into the risky, not really full degen, but this is in a higher risk opportunity. And what this is a decentralized network for computing power for GPUs. You could see right here the decentralized cloud built for AI's next frontier. So I think this is something that's going to get a lot of use case. You could see right here, it's saying that it's cheaper, almost half as cheap as Amazon Web Services. Google over here is $3.72. But this is one that I really like a lot. But that's only one narrative right now. One of the hottest narratives with BlackRock and institutional money getting involved buying Ethereum is real world assets. And I am actually more bullish on real world assets than I even am artificial intelligence. When you come take a look at it, right here. The top one is Chainlink. That's not really real world asset, but that is intertwined in absolutely everything. And it is an Oracle that brings real world data on chain. Hedera HBAR is a very good play, I believe, for somebody that's wanting a lower risk type play. It's 11 billion market cap. They've been around a very long time. They've got a lot of very huge partnerships out there. One that I used to talk about a lot on this channel is Quant, a 14 million total supply, so 2/3 of the total supply that Bitcoin has. And you can see it's only sitting at $115 right now. Good volume, 23 million, 24 million almost in volume, so a good amount of volume for a coin that is currently sitting at 1.38 billion market cap. This is not a meme coin. It's not something that's going to be being traded constantly. Another one that I like is Maple Finance, and this is a little more of a DeFi play, decentralized finance. But what I like about it is it's available on Binance and it's available on Coinbase, and it's only a 0.5 billion market cap, 520 million current market cap. You could see, being DeFi protocol, it has 3 times the overall volume as the last one. But BlackRock and these big institutions have been buying Ethereum for a very long time, and it's my belief that that is solely, or not solely, but very heavily for real world asset tokenization, as you could see in this Forbes article. So that's why I think that there's so much room coming up. One of my favorites, and a new one that we found out about in my Discord, I put a buy alert for it, is Zebic. This is one that has a lot of potential when it comes to real world assets. You can see decentralized infrastructure network for seamless flows of real world value. Go find that video after this one. But there's a lot of good real world asset plays, and I would weight that about 40% of my personal portfolio. And there's one more that I want to get into before we move on to the next sector. And the last one that I want to highlight on here is a more risky one. It's one that I have been invested in for a very long time. It's Home3. This is a $2 million market cap. It's not available on any exchanges, but this is real estate, real world assets. And so real world assets and AI are fun. I would put 20% in AI. I would put 40% over in real world assets. And the next one that I would go for is a layer 1. I'm trying to find the next Solana. I'm trying to find the next Sui. I'm trying to find the next Ethereum. And so when I'm looking at layer 1 cryptos, what I want to look for is something that is extremely fast, extremely secure, and extremely scalable. That's always been the problem with Bitcoin, the scalability part, but the security was there. Whereas if you go to other blockchains, they have 2 of the 3 pieces of the trilemma as well. But the only one, to my knowledge, that has solved the trilemma is Kaspa. They have smart contracts coming on the 31st of this month that will enable the first decentralized exchange to come to Kaspa. This is extremely early, even though it's sitting at a $2.6 billion market cap. Kaspa is one that I review a lot on this channel, and it is proof of work, not proof of stake. Bitcoin is proof of work. Ethereum used to be proof of work. Now it's proof of stake. Okay, Solana, proof of stake. And so this right here is the 10 blocks per second that made Kaspa the fastest blockchain that there is. Definitely the fastest layer 1 proof of work. But there's lots of good options when we're looking at layer 1s. Obviously, Ethereum is going to lead the way. Solana is going to lead the way, but I also want to highlight a layer 2. A layer 2 is something that's built on top of the layer 1. So base chain is a quicker, cheaper form of Ethereum, is a way that someone could look at it. It's its own chain. And so whenever I'm looking at chains, I already told you I want it to be fast, I want it to be scalable, but I want it to have a good team behind it, someone that could push it. There's a lot of cryptos that have had a lot of potential over the years that just did not have the right team, didn't have the right team to really pull off what needed to happen, guys. But yeah, Kaspa would be my bet, and that would be another 20% of the portfolio. But I do like risk, and if you don't like risk, this might be the time just to go join the Discord and leave this video. But I like meme coins. I think meme coins are community coins that bring a lot of volume to an ecosystem. And now I do everything from the large caps all the way to the brand new coins that just launched seconds ago. But for somebody just getting into crypto, find the most vibrant communities. I do not think you can argue that with what Pudgy Penguin is doing is amazing. What they have been able to build, what Luca Nitz, that's the gentleman's name who bought what used to be an NFT collection, and then they released the project, everything. They have real life animals, like stuffed animals, in the stores of Walmart. This is going to be a household name one day. Even the NFTs are selling for upwards of $50,000, $60,000 on the floor. So something like Pudgy Penguins at a $2.3 billion market cap, which is currently a lot under, right? A lot. Over 10 times smaller than Dogecoin. You know, it's 3 times smaller than Shiba Inu, twice as small as Pepe. So something like Pudgy Penguins, I believe, is really good. Something like Pepe has a very, very vibrant community, but it is a little bit of old news at this point. Whereas I see something like Pudgy Penguins really climbing the ranks to get up there in terms of meme coin. And then you have the AI meta ones, Fart Coin, something like that. And then something heavy on base chain. Brett on base, Toshi on base, Turbo on Ethereum. These are all very, very solid community picks. And then if you want to get onto Deck Screener, that is a totally different thing working on the decentralized exchange. But I would divide it up 15-20% in safe memes and somewhere 5 to 10% in the higher risk. But I want to know, how do you think you would build a portfolio if you were just starting out? And if you are just starting out, what was the first altcoin that you bought? Let me know down in the comments below. Watch this video up above. And if you're not a part of the Freeman of Finance family, what are we doing? Subscribe. I love you all.